any good philosophy is going to hit on many of those objective truths. Absolutely is. And so I don't have a problem quoting the Bible when the Bible's right.
Right.
You know?
It's right. It's a good answer.
Right. You know, and it's not to say that everything in the Bible is right. It's not to say that everything in the Quran is right, or everything in the Tao Te Ching is right, or nothing. There's your objective
I think they
truth.
try to be.
Yeah.
I think all these classics try to show the right path.
Correct.
But who's to say that it is the right path? They're trying to for the right path.
You're right, because they are saying it from the perspective of who they are at the time.
Right.
It's the stuff that... So, you heard me say this yesterday at the BA class, or something to this effect, which was sometimes just getting up is an act of bravery, right? That's not from the Tao. I got that from Seneca, a Roman philosopher, very little known Roman philosopher, who I happen to love. He is my favorite ancient philosopher, right? And he was the regent of Rome while Nero was killing squirrels in the yard. Right? So while for the first 5 years Rome was okay under Nero, Seneca was guiding the helm. But he was a Stoic, and he wrote letters to Lucretius, which was a friend of his. We have Seneca's side of the letters, and he's explaining Stoicism. And one of the things he talked about is sometimes getting out of bed is an act of bravery at some points in your life.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Right? So, when you're right, you're right. And one of the things I like about Seneca is he's a human. He doesn't try to be holier than that. He's an old man at that point. He talks about how he gets seasick, how he can't run as fast as he used to, and all those sorts of things. You don't get the sense of holier than thou.
Seneca was to Nero like Socrates was to Plato.
No, I wish. We would have gotten better. Think of him as, oh God, who could we use? He was the power behind the throne.
He was like the Senate of the throne, of the king, of the ruler.
Yeah.
He was like the other voice.
So you remember Aladdin?
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So Jafar, how he manipulated the Sultan in Aladdin.
Okay.
It's a bad example,
Something
but
like
kind of
that.
like that.
He was the other voice.
Yeah,
of the ruling.
he was the voice behind the guy.
Right.
Like the guy was in
But
charge.
the sensible voice.
Yes.
Like
Doesn't
maybe
always go that way,
John
but yes.
McCain was the sensible voice to Donald Trump. I'm not saying that's true,
No,
but I'm just
but
saying.
you could go there,
that, yeah, something like that.
In a sense, yeah.
He was, the
Ooh,
balance
here's
of
a
the
good
power.
one. Here's a
Balance
good
of
one.
the power.
Here's a good one. I'm no fan of Trump, but Rex Tillerson to Trump.
Okay.
There's a good example
good
of that.
Like a
Tillerson is
reasonable.
an awful person. To a degree. He's a capitalist, he is who he is, and he is whatever. Not to say that capitalism is bad, just to say that he's like laissez-faire, kill them all, God will recognize his own type, right? He gets into office because he's trying to facilitate a deal with the Russians. So he's using public office for private gain. It's a bad guy. But he was one of the few people in Trump's cabinet that I honestly didn't have a problem with.
He had a voice of reason.
He had a voice of reason. He's a character that has worked with all these folks before. He knows it, he has the back, not like Betsy DeVos, who's Nimrod, or Ben Carson, who they have no business being in those cabinet positions. I didn't have a problem with Rex Tillerson. I didn't have a problem with his Secretary of Defense, Mad Dog. I don't have...
Mad Dog Mattis.
Right. I don't have an issue. I wouldn't pick them. But they're good for the job. Like, I
You need
can't
an
really argue
opposing
against
view.
them.
You do need an opposing view.
Yeah, and when you have a less than scrupulous character in the White House, you need some sort of balancing voice. And when Tillerson left, I was like, uh-oh, there it goes.
Do you think if we give this guy in the White House enough rope, he's going to hang himself?
I think he's already has.
I think that's what's going to happen.
See,
he's got to chill.
Here's Trump's problem.
If he kept his mouth shut, he'd probably be okay.
He never should have run for president.
No, and I think he realizes that.
But
he wanted it because he could.
One of the questions that keeps getting brought up is why didn't the city of New York do these investigations prior? Because he wasn't on the radar. He was just Trump. He was just the guy. He was a celebrity. We don't care.
He
We've
was
got bigger fish to fry.
reality TV celebrity.
By him running for
Wait, what?
office, he put a magnifying glass over what he's been doing all these years. We're from the area he is from. There's never been a time in my life I didn't know the name Trump. He's always been a shyster. He's always been a shyster. Right?
He was the king of New York.
Yeah.
He was on top of New York.
In Atlantic
And
City.
he did.
But
and now he's on top of the United States.
To a degree, but you know what happens to the guy at the top?
Well, give him enough rope, and I mean that's a basic lesson we learned, and I think he better get with the program.
And he's another guy. If he would have used a softer touch.
Soft touch, Tai Chi principle.
He wouldn't have these problems. He wouldn't have these problems. You think about some of the insanely corrupt things the presidents have done over the last several presidencies. Whether it's Obama charging
What did
journalists.
Obama do? People have done despicable things.
Say,
not Obama. I don't see anything despicable.
Well,
maybe wrong, but not despicable.
Not despicable. Not to that. Well, Libya, that's despicable.
Richard Nixon was despicable.
He wasn't despicable.
Lyndon Johnson
character.
was despicable. Obama, I don't see that he did anything despicable.
Okay, all right. But him, Bush, obviously.
Bush did something pretty despicable.
Clinton deregulating Wall Street. Strangely, George H. Walker Bush, I don't feel like he was there long enough.
He didn't do much. But Clinton didn't kill anybody. Bush did.
There were a couple of
Nixon
bombs he
did.
lobbed, but
Yeah.
there's no president that doesn't have blood on their hands, right, at this point. I mean, Trump was in office a week, and he killed that poor American girl in Syria with the bombing raid, right? Killed 9 people or 11 people or something of that nature. So there isn't a president without blood on their hands. And that has always been the one thing, like the type of person you've got to be to want to be president of the United States. Because you've got to be willing to send your countrymen to kill other people and have many of them die in the process.
To their death. You're sending young men to their death.
Correct. You've got to be okay with that.
He didn't really think it through, did he? I don't think.
Who?
Trump.
No.
I don't think he thought it through. He wanted to be president, okay, but there's too much blood that can get on your hands.
He's too much of a con man. He had too many. He just had too many competing things going on.
He's a con man, a good one. He conned the American people to get him to be president. He is president.
I personally, I actually don't want to see him impeached.
I do not want him. That's going to create more chaos.
Right. I don't want to see him. If you want to beat him fair and square in the election.
Let him finish his term.
Right.
Let somebody else have a shot and let him fade into
the oopsie part of our country system.
Thank you for joining us for that clip of our weekly podcast. If you want to get more bonage footage or join us for the entire podcast, head on over to Patreon, where our Eagle, Tiger, and Dragon subscribers get access to not only what we cast and talk about, but advanced lessons in your forms, in your Tai Chi, and in your life.